First of all, I'd like to thank our nation. It's an unbelievable turnout for our homecoming weekend. Had a lot going on, with the celebration of life of our former president and, celebrating former football players that have come through Temple University doing great things because of their experiences here at Temple University. And the tailgate looked like it was a good time. I mean, both sides of the streets packed, a lot of tents. I mean, that was an unbelievable vibe. It was great for our players who have been here and our newcomers to see what this can look like. Boy, we just found a way to just put together some wins and keep developing, stay on course, and stay encouraged along the way. And unbelievable turnout. Learned a lot about our football team in this game. There's still a lot in the tank. Despite our injuries and our shortcomings, I mean, we had some guys out there play with a lot of heart. Our tight end position performed extremely well. Thought our quarterback, stepped up and played with heart on the sleeve, and in spots it looked like that team can win a bunch of ball games. We just got to find a way to put it all together. Again, just really satisfied that they played with the type of passion, the type of energy, and the type of heart that it takes to be a Temple Owl, period. We can just do that on a consistent basis. I know that's going to, add up to some wins. So we're encouraged on this end over here. I know there's more to pull out of this football team, both coaches and players, and we're on a journey to get that done. So I'll take whatever questions you guys have.
You're at the midway point in the season. How would you assess the team at this point?
I'd like to have more wins. Again, I just thought that this game showed that we have a whole lot more to give. Just when things seem tough, these are the times where Temple Owls step up. I don't hear any excuses coming out of our locker room. A bunch of guys that are, wanting to play out there that can't by way of misfortune. They're staying positive. They're encouraging their teammates to stay positive, and we just have not been consistent with our execution. I just think there's points that you can turn back and look at where we could do a much better job of coaching. But I think that we took a step forward this week. We're halfway, and the schedule doesn't get any easier. But again, this is one game at a time, one practice at a time. We got the right mindset. I coach guys that love each other, love the game. They do not like losing. And again, I could be around people like that. If they were accepting where we are right now and satisfied with that, I would have a tough time answering that question right now. But we're going to keep moving forward.
You talked about after the Tulsa loss how there's a lot of MAs defensively, where there's similar things that happened when you watched the film this past weekend.
So not as many. Not as many. What you see a little bit more of off this film compared to that of Tulsa, guys are in position to make the play. Like the 43-yard explosive run for a touchdown, we had a guy there who was supposed to be where he was, and he's got to make that play. So it's a missed tackle here, right? Then you have one-on-one situations where their receivers and our DBs it's a 50-50 situation there. I mean, they're covering those guys. And, one thing I can't say about UTSA, they had great size at wide receiver, but again, I have really good corners, and I think that they should win those more than they lose them. And, not Tulsa, UTSA found a way to make those plays, right? So it's a big difference right there, right? Having guys in position to make the play as opposed to having guys not in position, guys running wide open down the middle of the field. So that's we eliminated a lot of MAs that way, and now we got to get the right guys in position to make those plays when their number is called.
And were a couple of those situations just really good ball placement from Frank Harris. I think that one, Dan Hawkins was in coverage. He was right there, but it looked like he just made some really deep throws and was kind of reminding people of how good he was on some of those plays.
He's a good football player now, but credit to those receivers. he played into their strengths, and that size is their strength. It wasn't like there were a whole lot of blazers out there, right? I mean, they got behind us a couple times, you know, and in those situations, our eyes were in the wrong spot, to answer your first question, right? In regards to MAs, if you blink, anybody can get behind you. There's a couple times we blinked, but we were in the right position. But no, those receivers went up there and made the plays, great ball placement for big size receivers. And, you know, I just still think that those are opportunities where if we play through the ball, you know, we can create some more situations advantageous for us in that situation.
Jordan had talked after the game about miscommunications and said, you know, defense felt prepared, but when things started moving a little faster out there, things kind of went awry. Are you seeing some speed of game issues in terms of guys on the defensive end?
For some guys who hadn't had a whole lot of playing experience, yeah. You know, I mean, you know, again, we're putting guys out there who are giving us everything they got. They haven't had a whole lot of chance to play a lot of football leading up to those moments. Some of our freshmen and our newcomers, some of our guys are further down the depth chart. We had to call on them, you know, and they gave us everything they got. But yeah, that's going to be a natural thing when the game starts to speed up. It wasn't a tempo issue. It was just UTSA getting a little bit of a rhythm, you know, run the pass and, you know, playing the ball really, really smart and in situational play. And, you know, our guys are trying to gather information, process, and play to the best of their ability. It can get fast for those guys from time to time.
At the halfway point, how would you assess the play of your offensive line? Are you seeing any improvement from certain guys, and how much more can you get out of them?
There's a lot more we can get out of them for sure. Is there improvement? Yes. Steady in certain people. Some no. You know, but again, we're staying as positive as we can in that respect. It's not like we're going to be able to, you know, clone another one out there, you know, in the hallway somewhere, right? So we gotta continue to work with the guys that we have, and I know that their heart's in the right place, and they have their limitations, and we have to, you know, make sure that we, as a coaching staff, put them in the best position so that we can perform within their strengths and not as much as their weaknesses. So we got to find that formula.
Stan, you guys scored 3 touchdowns first half, 2 in the second. Do you feel like that was like the first time all year where you played a full game, or do you think you still have more to play?
We have not played a full game. You're just talking offensively?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, we still fumble the football, right? We got our quarterback hit on a strip fumble. You know, when we start to eliminate those things, I think we'll play closer to a complete game. You know, it was great to get the tight ends involved. The run game kept them honest early, not so much later in the game, right? So we still have a ways to go before we use the word complete. Did we take a step forward in a positive direction? In some respects we did, yes, but we still have a lot of work to do.
Should we expect more of like passing game to the running backs? Like there was like 10 completions between Darvon and Joe Quez last week.
Yeah, well, you know, we just got to do what we have to do, you know, to get ourselves in advantageous situations to keep the sticks moving. We had not been very good in first and second down efficiency, okay, which is making us convert third down, fourth down situations, which we have been pretty good at that, 71% efficiency that way. And a lot of that is attributed to the back, right? But it's situational, right? When you got third and long and defense is kind of protecting themselves from letting the ball get over the top of them, then some of those underneath throws become a little bit more available. So I think the quarterback is doing a great job of taking what's available to him given the situation that we're in. It's not necessarily, you know, they're a part of the progression. It's not saying, hey, this is the play call, throw the ball to the back, if that makes sense to you. Yeah.
With the turnovers the past couple weeks, are you seeing on film it's more a combination of self-inflicted problems and the defense just being in the right place at the right time, or what are you seeing at the...
Absolutely self-inflicted. You know, and defense is taking advantage of poor fundamentals and, you know, a lack of focus in the way we're carrying the football right now, quite honestly. You know, if Joe Quez is going to carry the football for us, then he needs to carry that football like it's our family. You know, that's what it has to be, you know. We need to put 2 hands on that football, and, you know, in traffic, we have enough examples of when we do not, that's in jeopardy, you know, and that is a mindset that we really need to enhance on this football team for our ball carriers.
On offense, you guys are able to stretch the field horizontally with tosses or mixed direction plays, testing UTSA's eye discipline. Was that a game plan coming in, or was that kind of something you saw develop with the game plan?
It was absolutely a game plan. They're tough in the middle. They were stout in the defensive line. Number 40, that linebacker, was good as advertised. And again, that number 1, that Jack linebacker, is the real deal, right? So there were some things by way of moving the pocket that we necessarily had to do to keep things alive for us, keep the defense honest. So by game plan, I thought Danny Langsdorff did a phenomenal job of playing into the strengths of our offensive line, number 1, but also, most importantly, into our quarterback.
Steve, how you doing with your injuries, like Rigby and DJ, and it looked like Ahmad tried to give it a go?
Yeah, he tried. I mean, he's a tough kid, and he just, you could tell he just couldn't run. So I'm hoping that we can pull him a step closer to being available to us for North Texas. DJ Woodbury is going to be out for a while. He has a long-term injury, and I can't give you a projected time of him returning back to this football team at this point. And we're hoping Rigby is closer and closer, ready to play for us. And again, it is day to day, but a lot more optimistic as we move closer to North Texas than it has been in the past.
You go through the thought process of going for 2?
Yeah, appreciate that question. We scored in the fourth quarter with 10 minutes and 15 seconds left on the clock. And so when you think about that, offensively, you only have probably 2 more possessions left in that ball game. And leading up to the 2-point decision, I mean, you got to make that decision in a hurry, right? There's 2 things that go into play. What is the best pathway to win the football game? The easiest pathway to win the football game. And number 2, which is really number 1, is what do your players do best, right? Leading into that ball game, we're tied, number 1 in the nation with successful 2-point conversions. So I know that we were really good, and our kids are very confident in those situations for 2-point play scenarios. From a philosophical standpoint, 2-possession game, if we convert that 2-point play, all right, defense is going to have to get a stop. We have to score again and put us in position to have to kick an extra point to win the football game, as opposed to kicking an extra point now at 10:15 on the clock. Defense gets the stop, and to win the football game, you have to run a 2-point conversion to win the football game, right? Which is going to be a lot tougher on the back end of that situation when everybody in the stadium knows that you have to convert that 2-point play to win the ball game, as opposed to kick an extra point, which is a easier percentage. I'm sorry, you have to kick the extra point, which is an easier percentage. Also knowing that if there was going to be a failed attempt at the 2-point play, which it was, all right, defense is still going to have to get a stop. We're going to still have to score, and the 2-point conversion gets put at the end of the game anyway to at least tie the game, all right, as opposed to winning the game. So just playing into our strengths at that point. The easiest pathway in my mindset at that time was get the 2-point conversion now, all right, and set us up for an opportunity to kick an extra point to win the ball game. That was the thought process.
Can you talk about that trick play that you guys drew up? I know David said after the game it was really designed for him, but EJ ended up hitting John in the end. Can you just go through that?
Yeah, I mean, they've had fun preparing for that play, and it's just one of those things that you practice and they have so much fun with it. You kind of know it's going to work, and you got EJ who, you just can't give a trick play one option, all right? And you have to give it a second option, and they did a great job of covering David, and he found the open man. So it was fun. It was fun to watch that happen. Would have been even funner if we would have won the ball game along with that play, but it was good.
Steve, a little bit more about John's development. I know it's no longer a big deal for walk-ons to find their place and develop, but can you just talk about really like after Saturday what you've seen, how you've seen him develop from the time you got here? Like maybe I know you talked about him being more confident in his hands on Saturday, but just the overall package of him, like how has he gotten from where he was when you first got here to where he is now?
Yeah, just you know, first year, just knew he was a great kid. He was always accountable, handled his business in the classroom. He goes through a lot in his personal life, you know, needs a lot of support and a lot of love that way, you know, but has never been a guy who's missed practice because of the adverse situations that are going on in his life. Never missed a class, never been a problem, you know, and has been very open with his communication of when help is needed. He's not afraid to call on that. So we know that's the kind of person that we're dealing with, you know, so it was just a matter of, you know, getting more confidence in himself with the ability to catch the football. There was never a question of speed, all right? There's never a question of, you know, what he's gonna do for the football team. He's always unselfishly found himself a role on our special teams unit from year 1 through year 2 with me in this program. And I don't know if you guys remember, but we talked about John before in fall camp. And, you know, I told you that this guy was emerging, you know. I mean, he was finding ways to get open. He was running with more confidence within his routes. He was having a firmer understanding of reading coverages and using his size and his speed to his advantage. And it was a matter of, you know, believing in his hands. And I think that, you know, he's a great example of the next man up. You know, it wasn't like there was a day 2 weeks ago where I'm like, hey, he's got to put him in. He's the starting guy. You know, I think it took for Ahmad being questionable, you know, Dante being questionable, you know, freshmen having to play, and his number being forced into the fold, that kind of turned a light switch on for him. You know, he had a great week of practice. He made some catches that I hadn't seen him make in practice leading up into this ball game. And I would not have been able to tell you that he would have caught all these balls for all these yards, you know, against UTSA, you know. But at the same time, although I'm very, very pleased to see it, you know, I'm not surprised because he's kind of stayed the course, you know, and we're going to need him to continue to develop. And just knowing the history of Temple, right? Guys who have walked on and have done special things, and, you know, with the mindset and the way he's made up, I would love for that to be his story as he continues to develop as a Temple Wow.
What are your thoughts on North Texas this week?
North Texas is going to bring great team speed. They've got 2 really quick, fast receivers that are a real threat. They have a running back that I think is really, really good. Again, we're going to see some similarities from what they bring to the table systematically on defense. They're a 3-3-5 type of structure. You know, they have safeties that are very, very aggressive. It's very, very tough to get the ball behind them in that system, and they force you to do some things underneath and run the football, which again, those safeties are very, very aggressive in supporting those deals. So the team speed is what stands out, you know, and those receivers and that running back and that quarterback with the ability to get the ball to those guys is going to be a very, very good challenge for us. So,
What challenges do they pose for you on the defensive end?
just their system, you know. I mean, their size is a decent matchup that way. I think they're not as big as what we've played against, but they're as quick and as fast. Very, very twitchy up front, very twitchy at the second level. And again, the safeties are, with 3 safeties being as deep as they are, right? That can very easily turn into a drop 8 situation, which you got, you know, 3 to 4 receivers out there catching the ball with 5 guys out there. So that can be a tough situation from time to time, and that's our strength right now, you know. So just systematically, they know what they're doing back there, and you know, we just got to see if we can find the holes within that.
Steve, what do you see from your defensive line? Obviously, there's some depleted. KJ's out, Tamara's out, Allen's out, and that's 3 guys that have been gutted from your lineup there. From what you have there, obviously they're undermanned, but what are you seeing from them on film?
Well, you know, Quay Mahone probably played his best game. You know, Darkwa is starting to, you know, get game reps underneath him now. You know, we're not getting a whole lot of pass rush out of him right now. that's what we're not seeing, you know, that we would like to see a lot more of. So we have to find ways to create that pass rush in other ways. But I'm not seeing a whole lot of mistakes anymore, you know. But we just have to keep developing. You know, that's one unit that I know they have more in them, you know. And yeah, we are depleted, you know. But again, the guys that are out there can give us more. They can just, you know, they just play disciplined football and just play with their heart on their sleeve. You know, we'll try to fix it everywhere else around them. You know, but would love to see more pass rush come out of that D-line.
I know that you've had to use 2 tight end, 3 tight end sets due to injury, but have you felt like the passing offense has really taken a next step since you've been going to those type of sets?
No, it hasn't been purely because of injury. You know, you like to support the 2 personnel groups from 11 to tight end, 12 people and 3 tight ends when it need be. You know what I mean? But no, we're trying to, you know, move the football, and we look at those 3 personnels every single weekend at the very beginning of our game plan to see what does that present. A lot of times you don't see a whole lot of 13 personnel that people are running, so it's a guessing game at that point, right? And when you're guessing and trying to do right by your players in preparation, you know, you got to play that. You're walking on the tightrope there a little bit, a little balance beam right there. Does that make sense to you? You know, so no, we know we have a good core of tight ends, and if we can manage their workload and by putting those guys in a rotation and getting, you know, high quality production and execution out of everyone we put out there for longer periods of time, then I think we're striking on all cylinders that way, you know. But they're going to play a lot of football for us. They have. I think they're finally stepping up into their own. J.O. is finally, you know, coming into his own. It's good to see Peter Clark, you know, catch a touchdown. You know, he did it with a cast on his arm. You know, this is what we're doing right now. You know, and you know, but I know that there's heart in that room. You know, I know that there's a will to win in that room. So, you know, those are the guys that we're gonna, you know, jump on their backs and try to win some ball games with.
Can you talk about how Ian's kind of been like a leader, even with him being out like before the game and at halftime? Like we see him like in the huddle, like kind of telling everyone, like hyping everyone up. Yeah,
you can't make that up, man. That's real stuff there, and you know, he has a real passion for, you know, this football team, and there's no question why his teammates voted him a single digit. He's the example of, you know, giving everything you got, even though he can't physically do it. You know, I mean, you know, love Ian for that, and I'm sure his players appreciate every bit of that as well.
Okay. Thanks, Coach.
You got it.